Hi, my name is Carol, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Oak City Labs software development agency located right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. And I also have with me Jay, who's our co-founder and CTO of Oak City Labs as well. Hi, Jay.
Hi.
And today we're going to talk about the app Headspace, what it's all about, how it works, why it's one of the most popular apps in the health tech market today, and maybe what it costs to build an app like Headspace. So let's dive in. So what is Headspace? Well, Headspace is one of the top meditation, sleep, and focus apps there is in the App Store. And we're going to walk through it just a little bit and talk about maybe how it works to some extent. So when you download Headspace, then this is an important thing for, I think, most apps. You're going to need to log in. And one of the features that I like is that it includes the option to use your Apple ID to log in. And Jay, why might that be a good thing?
The Apple ID, the sign in with Apple, is something they introduced fairly recently, but basically that's tied to your iCloud account, and you can use that to log in. It's really a privacy focused kind of login. So the people on the other end, they get an email address they can contact you with, but it's sort of a munged email that's private. You can turn that off later, but it's one of those ways to centralize your login thing to make it easy to log in, but it still keeps your information pretty private.
Yeah, I definitely like that better than maybe signing in with some of the social networks out there.
Facebook or something, yeah.
Which is, definitely some news about that lately. So kind of as you walk through this, this is what we call onboarding. Onboarding screens kind of in the development world. It's these first few screens that you see in an app that tells you what the app is and kind of how it works. Now, Jay, I know there's different opinions on the onboarding screen. Some people think you should have them. Some people think you shouldn't. What do you think?
Well, it sort of depends on like your app and what space you're in. These serve as a really good sort of introduction for the user, like what is your app all about? If it's like a really niche sort of utility thing, maybe the people who come to your app already know what it is, right? But an app like this where you're sort of, they're eventually want to sell you some services and things like that. They really want to make you feel like, you're welcome, and like this is going to provide some value for you and really focus on the benefits that you, the new user, are going to get out of the app.
Yep. And
yeah, like I was just going to say on this screen, they're already starting to sort of talk to you about what you're trying to get out of the app and personalize it and maybe do some recommendations and stuff later based on these kind of responses.
Yeah, and so that's on the tech side where we talk about recommendation engines, and it's kind of like an Amazon where it's like, oh, others like you might like things like this. So let's just choose some options. I think what's kind of cool here is that the screens change. So you get some different colors, which is nice. So let's go with staying focused. So, all right. And it tells you, things that you might expect from the app as well. Now, this is an important screen, particularly if you are going to sell a subscription, which a lot of people are going to do because sometimes with ads, you can't make as much revenue as you would like. So Jay, on the subscriptions, what's an important thing for somebody to think about, especially since this is through the App Store?
So with the App Store, they've got pretty tight set of rules about what is on the screen. A lot of times, when you're sort of making the screen, you go to the App Store example and start with that and sort of iterate on that and put your branding and stuff in. But you've got to describe like what the features are. You've got to have these your different subscription things there. You've got to have the link for terms and conditions. You've got to have a link to restore your purchases in case the user has got a new phone or something like that. So this is going to be something that the App Store is really going to look at during the review process and make sure it ticks all those boxes with their guidelines and regulations.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I like is in the upper right hand corner, you can just X out of that. And I think that's important because users don't want to feel trapped. They kind of want to feel like they have options. I mean, that's my theory. That's my personal preference. If I can't X out of something, I'm done, right? I don't want to subscribe.
That's what I would
What?
be looking for. That's what I would be looking for on these opening screens was like, okay, maybe later.
Yeah, how do I escape? So I'm actually going to X out of this because I'm not ready to try free and subscribe just yet. So notifications. So a lot of apps want to send you notifications. This is where you might be able to control it. And why is this screen important, Jay?
Because the way iOS works, when an app asks you for notifications, it's going to pop up that system dialog that we've all seen a billion times. And you as a developer get to put like 2 lines of text in there, but that's it. So it's generally considered best practice to have a screen like this where you sort of step people through like, okay, I'm going to ask for notifications, but again, this is like the benefit for you as a user, and the stuff you're going to get out of allowing those notifications to try to motivate them to click allow on that notification screen, because as a developer you get to ask once. So if the user says no, then in order to enable it later, they've got to go into settings and dig through some, a couple layers of menus and stuff, and the chances they're going to do that go way, way, way down.
Oh yeah, yeah. So all right, so I chose not now, and we're still in onboarding. I don't know how long we get to have that our marketing company will be okay with us talking about this, but again, still in onboarding, which for me, attention span, even with an app like this, it might be a little long, but we can explore now. And again, important,
One more screen.
we can, yeah, one more screen. We can still X out of here though, which is nice. And if I go to begin, it's going to want to walk me through an exercise. And what's nice about Headspace is I like the animations, I mean, I'm sure that's super easy on the development side, right, Jay?
Oh yeah, as long as you've got a big team and a lot of time and budget.
Yeah. So, and interesting, which Jay can't tell because I'm the one sharing, is the use of haptics as you're breathing in and breathing out. It's actually, I can feel it on my phone, which is nice. Is that something that developers have to think about?
Oh, absolutely, especially when you're integrating that stuff in with like animations and stuff, and
Yeah.
graphics and things like that. It's definitely sort of next level.
Yeah.
Next level integrations.
All right. So I X'd out of there, and on this screen, it wants to know how I'm feeling. So I'm going to stay relaxed and continue. And I'm still kind of in this beginning stage, which I'm not sure I'm a big fan of, but I'm going to say maybe later because I'm ready to kind of get to the app now. And so some of the first things that I noticed on the app is this looks like a native app. Would that be right? Maybe my guess, Jay?
I mean, as far as I can tell, it looks like a native app. It's got kind of the interface feels native. But it's also heavily customized, and branded, which is again, this is a tier 1 app for sure.
Right, and there's definitely a heavy use of graphics and animations, and so when you think about video and animations, there's probably a lot of costs behind that as well, wouldn't you say?
I would think so. Yeah. Because I mean, not only are you looking at development efforts to do, the fancy animations and integrate all that video, but you've got to have somebody, graphic artists who are doing the actual graphical elements you're integrating, and animators, and also there's a lot of really professional video in this app, so there's probably teams doing that.
Yeah, and
lots of folks.
that's a really good point. A developer can build the app all day long, but if you've got a content heavy app like Headspace, there's going to be a lot of marketing and there's going to be a ton of content creation. And then you have to think about how does that content actually make it into the app? So your developers are not necessarily going to sit down and create the content and put the content in there. They may create an interface for other people to put that content in there. Wouldn't that be right? Yep. So that's sometimes a component of development people don't think about, is that administrative portion. And so I went ahead and tapped on this screen because I know we probably should wrap this up here soon, but I tapped on this one because it's got the play button with a nice little lock on that. And so that tells me as a user that if I tap that, it's probably going to tell me I need to start a trial. Now, if I start a trial, do I have to put in a credit card, or how do the payments work for this?
Like with all iOS apps, Apple has that go through the App Store. So this is just going to use your credit card that's on file with the App Store. I don't think you could have downloaded the app to start with without that already on file. So it's just gonna lock into that. With the free trial, again, that's through the App Store, the normal subscription process. So you can manage that with all your other subscriptions on your iOS device. What's the free trial for this one? It's probably like a week. Yeah, I think
7 days.
yeah. The developer can pick that. A lot of them are a week. And then once you sign up, it's gonna automatically start. Basically, it's on you as a user to unsubscribe. So, if you can get folks to agree to the trial, it's probably a good chance they're gonna at least do like the first month or first year, depending on which they do. You convert that to an actual sale.
Yes, and if you are thinking about building an app, one thing to consider is, you see it says $70 annual there. How much of that do you get to take home, Jay?
In general, Apple takes a 30% cut. There are programs for small business where if you have a revenue through the App Store of less than $1 million a year, you can cut that down to 15%. But yeah, for obviously for a big tier 1 app like this, they're going to be paying 30%.
Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. So those are good points. Is there anything else that you'd want to point out that maybe people considering building an app would want to look at or see?
Long pause.
That's okay. This is a good one. When I went to my profile, the share buddy link, because if you can get other people on board, that's more users for your app, and you get a little bit of that network effect, right?
Yeah, a little bit of a viral spread of your app.
Right. So Jay, how much do you think it costs to develop an app like Headspace?
Carol, I'm going to say a lot.
Right.
I mean, yeah, like we talked about, it's clearly like a big, super complex app with a lot of machinery behind it, in terms of like graphics and animation and the video teams and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not even sure, given that I've only looked at this for a few minutes, so I'm not sure about the complexity of the app, but just given that, it's going to be, you're talking like millions of dollars,
Right. And we Googled before we did this video, Headspace has over 400 employees. And so you think about the cost of employees and the marketing and the content behind it. This is not a small app. So that is certainly something to keep in mind. If you're looking at building an app and you see something like Headspace and you're like, ooh, I want a version of that, definitely keep in mind there is a whole company behind Headspace that allows you to do all these animations and personalizations for the end user. All right, so I think that's probably it for today. So some of the major things that we talked about were onboarding screens, the revenue models, how that works in the App Store, as well as just all the stuff that goes behind an app, like the administration and recommendation engines and things like that. So maybe any other major takeaways or considerations we should think about, Jay, that I didn't cover?
No, I think you hit on it. For an app like this, it's always all the other stuff that goes along with it. Development costs are one thing, but there's the marketing and the content creation and a thing like this, an end user app like this, there's so much advertising and marketing that goes into it.
Yes. Yep. Huge. All right. Well, thanks for watching if you made it this far. So if you like this video, you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any other videos. And please feel free to leave some comments and just give us some feedback. Thank you so much for watching.